Buddy Rich is an acknowledged road rat whose age has been given as 38 and change. He lives in the present, but he's had a glorious past. He's a veteran of the bands of Artie Shaw, Tommy Dorsey, Harry James, and Les Brown. He tried to retire once in the mid-60s, but failed, and he's maintained his own big band ever since as a vehicle to keep his playing and his sense of humor intact. He's not a trained percussionist. He's an intuitive trap drummer with great time, speed, and unstoppable energy, who, as you're about to hear, has proven adaptable to virtually every style of jazz. Right now, Master of Ceremonies and one of Buddy's old partners in crime, Mel Torme.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. 38 and change, huh? I like that. Buddy's start in this business, ladies and gentlemen, came at the tender age of 18 months, 7 months after his dad gave him his first pair of drumsticks. He was brought on stage to play with his mom and dad, the vaudeville team of Wilson and Rich. By the age of 2, Buddy was closing that performance with his rendition of Stars and Stripes Forever. Sporting a sailor suit and a Buster Brown haircut, he was the essence of cuteness. Traps the Drum Wonder, that's what he was called back then. Well, he was a solo vaudeville musical comedy sensation by the age of 5. Both audiences and critics alike sensed the magical power and facility of this uniquely talented kid, and Buddy kept traveling around the country in and on key vaudeville circuits. He played top theaters, and his performances were never less than a hit. Matter of fact, when he was in my hometown of Chicago, one reviewer commented that, quote, he alone was worth the price of admission. At an age when most kids are entering the first grade, Buddy was already a seasoned world traveler. While playing the Tivoli in Sydney, Australia, one Australian critic wrote that Traps made the drums a decided medium for imparting pleasure to his interested audience. Buddy was a natural for the demanding life of the road performer. His career quickly skyrocketed, and by the time he was 15 years old, Buddy Rich was at the top, the second highest paid child star in the world, next to Jackie Coogan. His family kept things in perspective for the wondrous young drummer. Mother and dad, his sisters, and his brother all provided a sense of reality. To this day, family is of great importance to Buddy Rich. The Depression of the 30s greatly affected the entertainment industry. Vaudeville lost its drawing power, and Buddy branched out. He eased into other areas, and by the time he was a teenager, he was emceeing a lot of shows as well as performing and playing drums, singing, and dancing. Now, that's a period of his life I remember very well, ladies and gentlemen. I'm an authority on that because I remember he was about 15 or 16. I couldn't have been 10, 11 months old. My mother and dad used to take me to see him. I was all swaddled. Look, boy played drums, Mommy. Fellow played drums. Anyway. Ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, Buddy obviously entered the jazz scene, listening closely to the great drummers. And I mean great. Legends such as Casa Loma's Tony Briglia, Chick Webb, Gene Krupa, Sid Catlett, and the phenomenal O'Neill Spencer. And they were sort of his silent teachers. Now, he listened, but he was evolving on his own into doing things his own way. By 1936, Buddy was involved with jazz exclusively. One night, a couple of friends took him to the Hickory House to sit in with the Joe Marsala combo. And I stayed there, and he stayed there, and that night passed, and another Sunday passed, and another Sunday passed, and nothing happened. And finally, on the 4th Sunday, he got the nod. Buddy played one tune. He aroused some interest, but part of the audience began filing out. And then Marsala called a tune called the Jim Jam Stomp. Way up and way up is Buddy Rich's meat. Well, the people scurried back. Even the musicians in the place started pushing their chairs just a little bit closer. And after Buddy took his solo, the Hickory House was his. When Marsala asked Buddy to stay on for the evening session, he called home to tell Pop that he was going to be a little bit late. And that night, later on, Buddy was offered the job with Joe Marsala on drums for the princely sum of $66 a week. P.S. He grabbed it. That same drummer who was a kid, had commanded more than $1,000 a week, was happy because playing jazz was what he wanted to do. Buddy remained with the clarinetist Joe Marsala for well over a year, and by 1938, he had joined the Bunny Berrigan Band, and boy, he was on his way. Buddy Rich, what a man. Now, the Artie Shaw Band, ladies and gentlemen, did something very, very special in 1939. It played the great American songs written by the great American composers, people like Rodgers and Hart, Jerome Kern, Vincent Youmans, and Artie wrote many of the arrangements. A lot of the arrangements were done by Jerry Gray, and Artie had an idea that simplicity in the band, by design, would enable the listeners to hear each instrument. He felt that all that were needed were good tunes, good arrangements, slightly enhanced in order to get the best performances. Buddy Rich joined Artie Shaw's band just about at the beginning of 1939. Artie sought individually and fire, and Buddy had it, and I mean he had it. He was full of steam, he loved to play hard and loud, and it was clear that he had the beginnings of his own concept. Artie has said, quote, "The only thing I kept telling him was, pace yourself," unquote. Well, Buddy Rich had so much energy and so much technique that sometimes he tended to play a little bit too much with that band, but boy, he was exciting. And remember, he was only 22 years old. There's every indication that Buddy had a marvelous time in 1939. He was playing the good tunes, the great band, and he gave that band an extraordinary uniqueness and originality. Buddy Rich's playing helped make the Artie Shaw Band of 1939 the downbeat poll winner as the best band of the year, beating out Benny Goodman. Now tonight, we're going to take you back to 1939. You're going to love this. You're going to hear a superb arrangement of the karaoke, a key number in the Artie Shaw repertoire of that time. This was updated slightly by Buddy's own fine arranger, John LaBarbera, but it still retains its original feeling, its original thrust. Ladies and gentlemen, Buddy Rich. The karaoke changed my life, I gotta tell you, because I had planned to be a drummer. That's what I really wanted to be. I was about 14, 15 years old. And then I heard this one over here, Victor Venom, play the karaoke with Artie Shaw. I walked over to a mirror, I said, Melvin, I think you better concentrate on singing. And that's what I did, and it was a joy to hear it. Ladies and gentlemen, that was great fun. We want to move into a small band setting right now, and once again recall a little bit of the Artie Shaw tradition. Now, we were hoping to have Helen Forrest here because she was a tremendous mainstay of the Artie Shaw Band of 1939. She couldn't make it. She sends you her deepest love, buddy, no kidding. And it gives me a chance to be a little bit of a surrogate for Helen right now and to do two of the tunes, first of all, that were very popular with the Artie Shaw Band in '39. Also, I get a chance to work with the Champs, and I mean the Champs. What a pleasure. They're going to play a couple of things after I do this little medley of tunes, but I just got to mention, ladies and gentlemen, that it is an honor to be on the same stage with the likes of John Bunch on piano. John Bunch. Uncle John. Bob Cranshaw on bass, one of the greats. The inestimable Zoot Sims on tenor. The redoubtable Eddie Burt on trombone, ladies and gentlemen. My main man, the great Phil Woods on alto. And buddies and my mainest main man, the one and only Harry Sweets Edison on trumpet. Day in, day out, same old hoodoo follows me about. Same old longing in my heart whenever I think of you. Baby, I think of you day in and day out, day out, day in. I needn't tell you how my days begin. When I awaken with a tingle. One possibility in view. That possibility you may be seeing you. Come rain, come shine, I see you, and to me that day is fine. Then I kiss your lips, and the pounding becomes the ocean's roar, BR's drums. Can't you see it's love? Can there be any doubt when there it is, day in, day out? You are the promised kiss of springtime that makes the lonely winter seem long. You are the breathless hush of evening that trembles on the brink of a lovely song. You are the angel glow that lights a star. The dearest things I know are what you are. Someday my happy arms will hold you. Someday I'll know that moment divine when all the things you are mine. Day in, day out, 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 day in, day out.
Mel Torme, the Buddy Rich Band, and special guests Phil Woods, Zoot Sims, Sweets Edison, Eddie Burt, and John Bunch will return in a moment. To Jazz Alive, I'm Ben Sidran at Carnegie Hall for more of our Buddy Rich retrospective. Let's go directly to the stage where Phil Woods, Zoot Sims, Sweets Edison, Eddie Burt, and of course Buddy Rich himself are about to jump into Lester Leaps In.
Lester. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4.
The champs. Sweet man. November 1939, sick of the music business, Artie Shaw just walked off the bandstand one night at the Cafe Rouge of the Hotel Pennsylvania, and he fled to Mexico. Very shortly after that, the band broke up, and Buddy wasn't too unhappy about that. He thought, hey, I'll sleep late, hang out in Manhattan on 52nd Street, go to Nathan's, get my favorite hot dogs, and just in general relax and enjoy life. Well, one night, at his favorite place on 52nd, Pick a Rib, he got a call from Bob Burns, the manager of the Tommy Dorsey Band, and Bob Burns told him that Tommy had heard a lot about him and he'd very much like him to join the band. And Buddy very sweetly said, hey, what the hell are you talking about, man? I mean, that's a band that plays the ballads, you know what I mean? And a lot of Dixieland, man, that's not my bag. Well, Bobby Burns kept trying, and Buddy kept saying, I can't play like him, but I can talk like him. Buddy kept saying, no go. Well, finally, Dorsey wired Buddy the money to fly to Chicago to hear the band, just to hear the band, at the Palmer House in Chicago, okay? And he went and he listened to the band. He still wasn't convinced until he found out that Tommy had hired Cy Oliver, the great Lunsford arranger, brilliant musician, to join the band, write exclusively for the band, and to make it sort of an alter ego to the Lunsford band, that kind of cookin' swingin' band. And only then did Buddy Rich say yes. They worked out the billing, they worked out the salary, and Buddy Rich became a featured member of the Tommy Dorsey Band. Now that was, remember the period? It was great. It was a band of truly rugged individualists. First of all, Tommy ran a very tight ship. He was a really tough taskmaster. And Sinatra was in the band. He had a mind of his own, and of course so did Buddy. But the chemistry was tremendous. The chemistry was just great. With Cy doing the great charts, Tommy playing that melodious trombone, Ziggy providing heated solos on trumpet, Frank and Joe Stafford and Connie Haynes and the Pied Pipers all singing so beautifully, Buddy holding it together, giving it shape, giving it a sense of rhythmic excitement. That band was really something to hear. We want you to hear something that the band's going to play. It's been updated again by the great John LaBarbera. And this was written in 1941, ladies and gentlemen, for two hot trumpets, Ziggy Elman and Chuck Peterson. And it began to be an arrangement of a tune called Bugle Blues, but Cy got it going and they changed it to Well Get It. And again, it was one of the great mainstays of that band. The featured soloists on Well Get It, by the way, will be Dave Stahl, Doug Watt, and Steve Marcus. Ladies and gentlemen, there's very little that hasn't been said. I mean, millions upon millions of words have been written about our next artist. In simple words, he's a genius. An extraordinary player, composer, arranger, and showman. He's a true innovator. The architect of modern jazz as we know it. No kidding. He and another guy named Charlie did it all. In 1980, will you be quiet back there? Do I have to say any more? Hey, this is a great opportunity because Buddy, he's bad, man. But Buddy and Diz have a great musical love affair going, and we're going to get a chance to hear them both right now. First, Diz's marvelous chart on Round Midnight, Thelonious Monk's classic, and then, Diz's own composition, Ooh Bop Shabam, recorded back in May of '46. And by the way, the BUDDYRICH version, arranged by Johnny Mandel, was recorded that same year in September. Buddy and the band were very responsive to what Diz and Charlie Parker and the rest of them were doing. And modern innovations, of course, have always found their way into the BUDDYRICH library. So, for this occasion, the Mandel chart has been updated just a little bit by the superb Mr. John LaBarbera, Buddy's fine arranger. But you're just going to love what's going to happen right now. Ladies and gentlemen, two of our greatest natural resources, BUDDYRICH and Mr. Dizzy Gillespie.
Ooh, bop, shabam, kookama. Bop, shabam, kookama. Ooh, bop, shabam, kookama.
The one and only. The one and only. Think about this. A couple of years ago, I had the honor of making an album with Buddy and the band. It was called Together Again for the first time because people really didn't believe that after all the times we'd worked together that we hadn't recorded, but actually that was the first record we'd ever made together. There were a couple of quotes on the back of that album. If any of you people have it or seen it, you probably remember it. I made a quote about Buddy and he did a quote about me. I said, quote, Buddy Rich is the single extant genius of the drums, unquote. Buddy said, Mel who? But this is his night, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the ballad that he liked best in the album. We'd like to do a couple of tunes for you from the album. This is you're right, I've known you for so long, it made me sick. Anyway, this is the ballad that he told me he likes best, and we'll see what his reaction is, all right? Go ahead, Lee. Soon it's gonna rain, I can feel it. Soon it's gonna rain, I can tell. Soon it's gonna rain, and what am I gonna do? Maybe I should have saved those leftover dreams. Funny, but here's that rainy day. Here's that rainy day they told me about, and I laughed at the thought that it might turn out this way. Where is the worn out wish that I threw aside after it brought my lover near? Funny how love becomes a cold, rainy day. Funny that rainy day is here. Where is the worn out wish that I threw aside after it brought my lover near. Funny how love becomes a cold rainy day. Funny how you use and then you simply throw away dreams you ought to save for such a rainy day. Funny that rainy days All right. Thank you so much. Here's number 2. Thank you. Steve, come on. Thank you very much. They call him the king of the drums. I call him the best of my chums. He could do no wrong. He could do no wrong. He's been the greatest in the land since he played with Artie's band. And I love him. I love him. I tell you people, I love him. Cool and cooking, Buddy be good. Whoa, Buddy, Buddy be good to me. Our kind of music is sometimes misunderstood. Oh, Buddy, 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 you're so good for me. Some say jazz isn't sensible, but the way he plays it makes it comprehensible. Here's a bow to the greatest king of the drums. Buddy Rich is one of my chums. Shoo-ba-doo-dow, shoo-ba-doo-da-doo-din-din-din-din-din-din-din-din-din. Well, weep-a-dee, shut-up-a-da-boot-and-do. Don't do that. You did. Wait a do so we did we put it on. Dixieland, that's jazz. Bebop, that's jazz. Buddy, that's jazz. That's jazz. My kind of jazz. Buddy's kind of jazz. So-ba-do-ba-do-dee-do. So-ba-do-ba-do-dee-dee-dee. Oh-ba-do-ba-do-dee-do. dub dub lo dot ha. Ho do 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 ho do 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 dot ha. Ho do 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 you did do that do bow. Student did it, student did it, but did it ha. Student did it, student did it, but did it so do that, so do that, did it. Put do do did wait it, put do do did wait it, wait do did wait it, wait. Now, shallubadut, shallubadit, 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 so bo do do do, we bo ba do 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 sliddy do. The great man. Okay, one of the greatest bravura arrangements ever attempted by any orchestra. Ladies and gentlemen, Buddy Rich, the Buddy Rich Orchestra, and his concert arrangement of West Side Story.
As Mel Torme said, that is one of the most ambitious big band charts around, and a terrific vehicle for a drummer. The Buddy Rich Big Band with their version of West Side Story. See what I mean about Buddy being an intuitive drummer? During the solo there, he even reached over and played the drum throne a little bit with his sticks. Before Leonard Bernstein's opus, we heard Mel Torme's special lyrics on Lady Be Good, dedicated, of course, to his friend Buddy, and some amazing vocal pyrotechnics there from Mel Torme. You don't really expect that kind of vocal ammunition from the old Velvet Fog, but Mel comes loaded for bear, particularly when he's performing with his old friend Buddy Rich. Earlier in the set, we heard Dizzy Gillespie and the big band singing Dr. Gillespie's own special lyrics, Ooh Bob Shabam, Klugama. We'll be asking questions later about those. Dizzy was also featured on Monk's Round About Midnight. Before that, the whole Buddy Rich Band, and particularly Steve Marcus, were shining their lights on Well Get It. That title could have been in response to what Phil Woods, Zoot Sims, Harry Sweets Edison, and Eddie Burt had to say on Lester Leaps In. And of course, throughout the set, we've been enjoying the drum work of Mr. Buddy Rich from Carnegie Hall and the 1982 Kool Jazz Festival, New York. Jazz Alive's coverage of the 1982 Kool Jazz Festival is produced by Tim Owens. Our production director is Steve Rath, and our broadcast director is Wiley Rollins. Post-production engineer is Leo Del Aguila. Field producer for the Buddy Rich Retrospective was Becca Pulliam, with production assistance from Ethel Ryerson. Buddy Rich was recorded at Carnegie Hall by Jim Anderson aboard the Fedco remote truck on June 27, 1982. The Four Brothers were recorded at Avery Fisher Hall by Paul Blakemore in the record plant truck on June 29, 1982. And our heartfelt thanks go to Kool Jazz Festival producer George Ween and his staff for all their invaluable assistance and their support.